Hi, I'm Lauren Edmonds. I'm the founder and owner of a school that supports children with learning delays. I'm hoping the space gives you something to think about. I'm driving, but I had a thought. So I want to talk a bit about reward systems and star charts and awareness. Because star charts are often a go-to mechanism that's encouraged in schools and at home to monitor and encourage positive behavior and reward positive behavior. And I think that there's a misunderstanding around rewards charts or this understanding of reward, or perhaps not a misunderstanding, but more of it's become too narrow in its understanding. So I strongly believe that children need to learn to intrinsically motivate. They need to build up a pool of skills that helps them to drive forward because they want to drive forward and do things that they want to do because they want to do it, rather than motivated and encouraged by somebody external to them. Because it really places all the power on the person outside of the child and can lead to things like learned helplessness and passivity and an inability to do things, let alone do things that are hard. So my view on rewards, stickers, dot systems, whatever it might be, my view is that what are we trying to achieve? That's the first question. And do we feel like awareness would achieve it? And then the third question would be, how do we bring about awareness? And the sort of sub point to that is, how do we bring about awareness without bringing about shame? And this is another topic, but it adds into this to say that it is okay for somebody to feel ashamed of something that they've done. You know, I think feeling ashamed has its value, but to be shamed by somebody else, I think is unacceptable. And so when we talk about awareness and dot systems and stars and rewards, we're being very careful to understand that nothing about this should be based on shaming a child. It's never about what somebody else has achieved and they haven't achieved. It's not about trying to set up a measure that they measure themselves against and then come up short, because that makes absolutely no sense, because that's a shaming punishment type of approach, as opposed to a building of skill and building of understanding. So whatever system you use, whether it's stars or dots, or, I mean, you really shouldn't be using food, I don't think we should be rewarding with something like sweets, because we don't want to turn that into a narrative for the child, especially as they get older. But any kind of system that you're using that looks like a reward system should be really thought of as a motivating, encouraging awareness system. So a star chart is there to change behavior. And if we stay with it being an external thing, then we are saying to the child that you will be motivated when I give you a star. Okay, so it's very external, as opposed to, can I show you what you've achieved? What do you think? I'm proud of you. Can we put a little dot here to recognize, to measure what you've achieved? Oh, look, you've achieved something else. Can we put another little dot or a line or a something to recognize what you've achieved, as opposed to give you a star for something you've done that I've asked you to do? So then the star almost becomes, for me as the adult, because I've asked you and you've done it, and well done. And all the drive and energy and motivation is coming from the adult, whereas the intention behind the reward chart is to get the child to feel self-motivated. But we miss the language often as adults, and we need to lean into things like growth mindset by Carol Dweck, where she did a huge body of work around how we can give praise that drives agency, autonomy, independence, and this intrinsic motivation, this desire and will to achieve, to do better, to move in a particular direction. So at school, this idea of marking can also be incorrect, or marks on tests can be incorrect as well, where it's driving an external validation rather than a sense of pride. And we're always working towards that. We're working towards children wanting to work harder, wanting to put in efforts, wanting to learn, wanting to make mistakes and move through that, wanting to be better for themselves. And if a reward system looks like it is managed by the adult, then we've missed the opportunity. So I think we need to think harder, not about whether we use a reward system or not, whether we use a tracking system or not, but whether that tracking or reward system is developing and building the skills we want a child to have and build from now well into their adult years. I think the intention is important. And then, of course, the impact is important as well, because if our intention is good but it's not having the impact we desire, we need to alter what we're doing. Because without the impact, the intention is nothing. So I think it's really interesting to look at rewards charts more carefully rather than blindly just going ahead and doing them, and being intentional around what we're trying to achieve and if we are actually achieving it or not, and how we can tweak and adjust the approach so that we can get what we're trying to achieve, which ultimately is a happy, confident, autonomous child, and developing that happiness, autonomy, and confidence little bit by little bit, and making it internal rather than reliant on a system or a person outside of them.